2025 Urbandale City Council Work Session to order. And ask Nicole to take roll call, please.
Bodie,
Here.
Cacciatore,
Here.
Carberry Montgomery,
Here.
Kroll,
Here.
Rosendahl.
Here.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Kroll, second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, roll call.
Kroll,
Yes.
Carberry Montgomery,
Yes.
Bodie,
Yes.
Cacciatore,
Yes.
Rosendahl.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. We are to item 3 of the agenda, and item 3.1 is to have a budget discussion and review. And David, Nikki, who's going to start? All right.
All right. So based on Saturday, we did not have any material changes, but I still had a couple of things to talk through with you just to recap. I did not reprint any of the documents, even though we did make the change in the joint marketing effort, so that's still in the mayor and council. We just pulled some out of the lobbyist amount for the postal service one. So the total didn't change, so we did not reprint that. The rest were all mostly grammatical things or slight variations. So those are all in there, and that will be put in the new draft. That's all of your changes were made as well. Lots of up and down air, that stuff. So that is all pretty. We will work that all the way back through. I'm working on putting it into the state format, so we're ready to go through those next steps. And the corrected versions will be what's put on the website for public viewing during the next couple of steps. So I gave you a sheet, and I apologize for those online. A copy will be in your mailbox, and I can also email it to you, but it's effectively just a hard copy of what our tax certification will look like, just to affirm the rates that we talked about with the lowering the nickel on the debt service levy to bring us to $10.03. And on the back, so this is what that notice, the next step in the process, I guess. The first hearing is the proposed tax levy. So I gave you a nice little, apparently Christmas themed with the, just trying to make sure it could actually print and you could see it, just to kind of lay out what our next steps are. So today we're doing the final review. The water utility is also approving their budget tonight, so the water pieces will get sent over to us, and we include that in that back section. We always include their document in our format, so we can include that with our state submittal. The next step, so because we have a lot of mix and match with things that are in the finance world, the budget and the bond timeline, it kind of all feeds off each other based on the steps that we take. So I color coded those. So all the red ones are related to the budget items. So at this next meeting on the 18th, we will set the date for the proposed tax levy. And that's what the back side of that, the shorter disclosure, that's the one that goes through and says, what are we doing? And if you had the same amount of revenue, what should your rate be? So this is the third year of that, of having a second hearing. So that hearing then, that'll get published in March. And we actually then have the meeting. This is the one that, that the county uses to send out the letters. So we have to have that to them by the 5th. The county will send it on the 15th. So the earliest possible date that, based on our schedule, we will have that hearing on April 1st at 5 p.m. This is that special meeting. The only thing that can be on it is this item. We will do that.
April Fool's Day.
Yep. Indeed that is. So we'll have our first one at 5 and then adjourn and have a complete new agenda for the regular meeting at 6, and then we can set the date for the normal budget, the full budget document, at that new meeting at 6. And the full budget hearing will be on the 15th.
Voiceover off.
Sorry.
Actually hit the Gemini thing that pops up on my phone now. Yeah, so that meeting will happen, and the full budget hearing then is on the 15th, which is also the date of our bond sale. So it'll be a busy night of money. And then we will submit from there for the state certification piece. But then the bond pieces that were approved, these are based on the documents, the total projects that were in the CIP, which then flows through what we went through on Saturday, the debt service amounts that are in there. So the issuing a not to exceed 13.28 million, I believe, is the not to exceed number. So you'll start seeing those pieces in there, and there's lots and lots of steps. So I kind of mix those in because you'll see a lot of procedural stuff on the next several council meetings. Does that make sense? That's all I have to present to you as next steps. So
The, on the back, on this side, the text that's on the very bottom, is that what will go in the text box on the letter that is mailed out to folks?
the text box does not show up anywhere on the letter.
Because if my memory serves, there's like some sort of explanation from each entity related, and I just remember Dallas County's was like jibber jabber. So I'm wondering, just, I want to make,
Remember what was on the if the wording was actually on there. For some reason, I was thinking that it did not get published on the
The numbers were on there. My recollection was
explanation.
the
for-
explanation is on this, but not on the mailed notice. But we can,
Yeah,
there've been some
I guess-
changes too, so we can kind of
does
get.
anybody else, tell me I'm not crazy.
Well,
I
I
don't
remember
know.
something about that, but I can't remember, Bridget, exactly.
So I guess I mean, this is very clear and concise, what's here.
no, I actually think that that is right now that you say that, because our wording referenced the fact that this notice in the past has not included all the levies. And so it came out of context because our wording, but I think that that was the first year that we said, well, it doesn't include debt service, so our actual rate is this. But then on the letter, I think you're right that there was. But I believe in the Senate File 2442 changes, which is that I just emailed you today. That table is being changed, and I think that that is now changed. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
haven't seen
just
the draft.
want, I guess my question is, if this is the, if there is indeed a word description related with the information for the city of Urbandale, this looks very clear and concise to me as what we, what we're doing.
What we say, yeah. It unfortunately,
But I trust your
It would be helpful to
changes.
see the draft ahead of time to know if they're gonna include any language from this, where does it show up? Because it was taken out of like it was referencing like, oh, it's not the whole levy, but yet the letter was the whole levy. So they took the wording off this one. So I'll follow up with Ted Nellison at the Department of Management to get what's showing up. Because if it is, I have 500 characters to
Right.
maybe ask better, or answer better questions, or be a little bit more informative than just what's going with this notice. So that's a good
the
point.
numbers unfortunately will still confuse. They just will, because
awesome.
they're based on 10% increases, and FY '26 is a non-revaluation year. So it's not going to apply to very many people, but let us get our arms wrapped around exactly what the finished product, which we don't even know what it's going to look
Yeah.
like yet, looks
We
like.
haven't seen it. I just checked their website before we came in here, and it's not out there yet.
The good
but-
news is there are legislative efforts, real legislative efforts to try, it won't be fixed for FY '26, but to actually address this meaningfully for FY '27. And then we can direct people to the website where they can actually plug in their actual numbers. And in our taxpayer impact statement, which we'll introduce as part of the public hearing, hopefully people will get more meaningful comparability. This will be tougher. This will not really apply to anybody because it's showing a 10% increase. And for 90-some% of the folks, the property owners, it's going to be the same, because your 1/1/24 valuation is the same as your 1/1/23 valuation.
I love how fun this is and that you understand it. I guess if you could clarify and just let us know in an email
Yep.
what the response is. I mean, I'm totally, if something does show up, I think this is very clear. If you had more characters to make it better
Clearer.
story,
Yeah.
then go for it.
Yep. I will do that. Ted Nellison is very responsive, and he's the one that has to implement all this fun stuff. So I will clarify where this wording will show up, if any, on the new version of the letter.
And we had talked, I know we had a discussion on Saturday about doing something on our own website that we can control.
Which we have, and I included the link to what's currently
Yeah,
out there
okay.
now.
All right, I haven't looked at that
So
yet, so,
it
all right.
is, it's the same, obviously, it's from last year, and we had linked it to all kinds of things. Here's where you go find your assessment, here's the link to the Department of Management, here's what all of page 1, page 2, each paragraph was supposed to mean. It's, still a lot of information. And then it has a calculator tool down there to actually plop in your own numbers for your personal residence.
All right.
So we'll still have that, and we'll update it with whatever the new, none of the information is out there yet, obviously. But I think we put it live, the day we submitted it to the county is when it was all released.
Okay.
So I'm assuming we should have it ready to go, but right now it's in the old format, but at least giving you an idea of, this is what we provided, and it did seem to help. I mean, we answered, my staff and I think that I talked to about 25 people that truly called, if you remember that hearing, and I volunteered to say, call me and I will walk you through your individual one. And I think we did that for about 25 people, and then it was really quiet after that. We put all the stuff on the website, and people calmed down a little bit, but it'll still be confusing, not to worry.
Can
And
I
then-
ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Is this language you guys are talking about, is that something on a piece of paper in that room, or am I missing something?
Yeah, sorry, Pat, since you were here, this is just a PDF of the state form that I provided. There'll be a copy in your mailbox, but I can also pull the PDF and just email it to you and Joe, so you can see that. It's that same, just, this is what will go in the paper, and there is
Okay,
just,
because I got that email from you, and I saw the numbers and the table and all of that, but I just didn't see any language.
correct. What I handed out tonight, I'm sorry, I honestly forgot you guys
Oh,
were gonna
that's
be
fine,
connected,
that's
so
fine.
I didn't think of get
I
that.
just wanted to make sure I wasn't
Yeah,
sitting
you're
here.
not missing anything. This is
Hey,
stuff that will be a copy in your
Pat, I'll
mailbox.
just read it to you because it's just a couple sentences. It says, what's on the form, it says reasons for tax increase if proposed exceeds the current. And then our language is the city will lower the total levy by 5 cents for FY 2026 to $10.03. The reduction in rate is due to debt service levy relief provided by the city use of local option sales tax to call and retire additional bonds.
Nice, okay. Thank you.
One piece of housekeeping that's sort of related to the budget is we discussed on Saturday the WRA and the sanitary sewer districts coming in for a presentation to talk about the big, large capital plan. I think that came up. John and his team were able to make contact with them. They're, of course, very willing to do this. Do you want to do this ASAP at the front end of a regular council meeting? Or is there another way you want to handle? Like, should we try to get him in here March 4th and have him present at that time? Or would you prefer a different approach?
Is it
How
worthy of a
long?
lunch and learn?
Do we think they need?
I would say a half hour to give the very high level talking points of the capital plan and without diving into specifically every,
Yeah. Do you have
detail?
the March Lunch and Learn programmed?
I don't know off the top of my head. April is DART, right? So I think we did have a gap in March.
I would say.
Is that March 11th?
Yeah,
I'd say do it at the Lunch and Learn
Okay.
if we have time, would be my preference.
yeah.
We will check their availability for March 11th.
With jumping quick back to the joint marketing thing, the end number didn't change, but what did we decide to allocate to that?
We did 2,000.
Yeah, and I did follow up on that. It was the discussion that occurred during that was really just about if an opportunity presented itself. There wasn't any specific plan per se, and so that's kind of how we landed on the 2,000.
And that came out of Postal Service lobby?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just emailed that to you, Joe, and Pat. You should have that document now.
Yeah, got it, thank you. And Amy sent a picture too, so we're good, thank you. You guys are efficient.
So are there any other items?
other
that
questions? Yeah.
Collaboratively, we didn't address. We have a full list of all the documentation that you requested as follow-up. We didn't perceive anything requested as, I need that before we can make a budget decision. So those are being followed up with staff, and we'll, I believe, be sending that out on a Friday update.
We will. We've gotten about half of the questions answered already, and then the others, as they come in, we'll get those, if we're ready for all of them on Friday. Otherwise, you'll get most of them on Friday, and then the rest of them as soon as possible.
Okay. Anything further?
I feel like since we're here, we should just talk about stuff. I'm happy to go, too.
Let's hope the snow avoids us. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
no
they've
kidding.
already called off a bunch of
already
schools,
off,
so I'm sure it will miss us.
Yeah.
That would be fine.
It
With
was
some of us.
flaking as I was walking in.
It
Was
is
it?
flaking, yeah.
It's coming.
All
So
right.
if you think of something, let me know. Otherwise, we'll keep peddling on these last few questions that we have, and we'll be, obviously, Tuesday night's another night, so if there are other things, we can talk about it as well.
All right. Sweet. With that, thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
Have fun, everybody on the phone.
Yeah?
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.